Before Councillor Trott speaks, I just wanted to advise members of the public, which I should have done at the start of the meeting, that councillors do not form part of the deputation scheme and therefore are not limited to time when making the deputation. I would ask though, when making representation, please keep your comments short and to the point. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beckley. Good afternoon. Thank you for letting me speak, and I emphasise that I'm speaking as ward councillor for Fareham East. Interesting hearing the comments of the person, the representative we just have. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Richard Wright for a very carefully, well-balanced report, carefully weighing the pros and cons of it. I would ask you to, I'm going to go through the report in front of you, making comments. Page 70, from where we're talking, there are 13 objections, 12 letters of objection, plus the one from the Fareham Society, which I think must hold weight. I will pick up briefly on those, but go on to it further along. I'd first of all like to say, with regard to the drainage and sewage problems, they are ongoing problems at the converted flats from the officers, which have been ongoing since they began to be implemented. That may or may not have been sorted by the new buildings, which weren't shown on the original map, but were shown on the indicative plan. The new blocks, which were permitted by you, by this committee, are under Fareham Borough Council's building control and might be better dealt with. And going through, it says loss of open space, natural green space. Now, the last applicant said it's overgrown. There are trees grown. Yes, there are trees grown. The First Hall Avenue Meadows estate was built in 1985, and that land was planted with oak trees. Large numbers of oak trees, which have indeed grown up. The bund, which is referred to as being behind the houses in Cornfield, which there was one photograph shown of, was the bund that runs the extended Cornfield all along First Hall Avenue, along the meadows, and was put there as a protective measure for the development from the M27 when they were built. That was considered necessary at the time, so I would contend that putting something closer is not a good idea. I would also like to contend that noise measurements that have been done with regard to the motorway itself are not taking into account the fact that we have already, in this area, received letters that the smart motorway work is about to commence. That will be an extra 2 lanes of traffic, one closer than it is now to where that development is. Now, I've dealt with those. The removal of trees, well, Richard very kindly put in on page 72, the last paragraph, and this has caused me as a ward councillor no end of trouble. During the initial period of construction of the flats, approved in 2016, roughly 2 years ago, officers became aware that a large quantity of spoil excavated from the land had been deposited on the land to the east. This took away grown trees, hawthorn trees, areas of open space. And you will notice that they have twice been brought to court and ignored the argument that judgment has been found against them. They were told that they had to remove that spoil. Now, the present developers, I don't know if this is the same firm, were always open with the residents of Cornfield that they intended to build houses on the site, which struck at me as being a bit presumptuous. If we go to page 73, policy CS14, about a third of the way down, the site is clearly outside of the defined urban settlement boundary, and the proposal is therefore contrary to policies CS2, CS6 and CS14 of the adopted core strategy and policy DSP6 of the adopted local plan part 2. It has been said that we have got a shortfall of homes and this would be ideal. I would contend and ask you seriously to consider, as have the planning officer, that this is very close to the motorway, exceedingly close, and that in itself is a very good reason to refuse it. That bund there that was put there in 1985 was put there for a reason. It was thought that that was sufficiently far away for development, and now we're trying, the applicant is trying to put some more in. If we look at the bottom of page 74, the proposal would remove a large area of this natural green space and introduce built development onto a piece of land which is not previously developed. I have referred to the fact that earlier on, in the mid-80s, when it was developed, it was planned as open space. They planted lots of oak trees, which have grown up. Naturally, they've grown up. The area is open space and is visited by people exercising their dogs. Deer, foxes make their home there, and undoubtedly there will be dormice and slow worms. And we've had an update from that. Now, I think the point has been made that it's next to, as has been made earlier on in this planning committee, next to where houses already exist. So it is right next to the defined settlement boundary. I contend, again, it is totally unsuitable because it's close to the motorway, it is on public open space, which was always planned as open space. It is a subjective view as to whether you regard that as poor quality. An area abounding in oak trees, the main species host for English insects and animals should be taken into view, and I strongly ask that members will, notwithstanding the previous deputation, bear in mind what the planning officers, particularly Richard Wright, has come up with and refused this. Bearing in mind I'm speaking on this in respect of residents of Fairham East. Thank you.